Last name?
Ryan.
Clifford Ryan, and we're going to talk a bit about him, and we're going to get into some history. Clifford, it's good to have you onto the show.
Thank you.
Who are you, Clifford?
Well, I guess First Nations of BC. I'm a father of two, and come from a family of 10, and I'm the youngest in my father's house, and used to be a fisherman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So whereabouts did you grow up in BC?
I grew up in East Vancouver.
So you're like a real Vancouver resident?
Yes.
Nice. And so how old are you roughly?
49.
49. Wow, you don't look a day past 25. But let's talk a little bit about your childhood. What was it like growing up in Vancouver as an Aboriginal or First Nations? What do you prefer to be called?
Well, First Nations seems to be the politically correct term.
Okay.
And growing up in Vancouver, well, we just kind of came back together as a family then, because all my brothers and sisters were taken away and put into residential school as a result of the 60s scoop.
So this is 1960s we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Maybe tell us a little bit about that. Do you mind talking about, what happened?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Well, I guess it was back in 66, maybe 67. I could remember my aunt and my uncle showing up at the door and taking me out for a float. And we went down to a cafe, and when I came back, all my brothers and sisters were gone.
And where was this?
Prince Rupert.
Prince Rupert. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the year was 19?
This is around 66 or 67.
Okay. All right. And so you went for this float with your aunt and uncle?
Yes.
And were they aware that this was going to happen, or was this just something they came and took you for a float?
I don't know. I'm thinking that they were aware that it was
going on,
gonna be happening. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you went for this float, and you talked, and you came back,
and all my brothers and sisters were gone, and I could remember asking my mom where everybody was, and I guess she told me. Well, I don't guess. Well, what she told me was that the big bad owl came and took them for being bad boys and girls. And unless I'm good, he's going to come and take me too. So, going from a family of, having 9 brothers and sisters to being all alone by myself and being the youngest, this was pretty scary.
Yeah.
And I can remember playing on the ground by myself, and breaking out crying and praying to the owl to bring back my brothers and sisters, and that we'll be good little kids. And at this time, like, I would be dropped at different places for a couple of weeks at a time.
Really?
Yes. And the story was that the owl was coming to get me, and I needed to be protected. And one of the places that I went to, it was my auntie's place, and she would lock me up in the closet for hours, right? And this one time I had my fingers under the door, feeling the air outside, right? And I seen her coming in the room, and I thought she was going to let me out. So I sat up in the closet and I had my back against the wall. And what she did was she put a towel on the bottom of
The closet.
yeah, so I can stick my fingers up.
And how old were you at this time?
I was about 3, maybe 4.
Okay.
And, you know, like when she did that, like I panicked, like I flipped, and, you know, I just started kicking the door, right? Like I had my hands up against the wall and I started booting the door. And she opened the door and and I tried scooting out, and then I felt this slap on the side of my head, and I don't remember anything after that. So when we moved down to Vancouver, that was back in '68,
Okay.
and that's when we got together as a family.
Wow. So that's 4 years you went through this.
Yeah,
Roughly.
yeah, somewhere thereabouts.
Wow. And so you then later came to learn that that was happening because they were hiding you from the people that were coming to take you from residential school. Is that what it was?
Say that again?
You came to learn later on that that experience that you went through as a child, was that them hiding you from the authorities when you were being locked in a closet and being taken from place to place for 2 weeks at a time?
I don't think so. I think me being locked in the closet was you know, a result from them being in residential school themselves, right?
Okay.
Because the residential school system with the First Nations goes right back to 1879 or something like that, right?
Okay.
And so we're talking about 6 or 7 generations by then, and you know, there's a lot of violence going on within the family by then.
Maybe take us back a little bit for people that are looking at this from Europe and from different parts of the world. What is, one, residential school, and what was the 60s school?
Well, the residential school was was a tool that the government used to assimilate and colonize the First Nations people through the modernist perspective.
Okay.
Which is, if the First Nations forsakes their cultural way of living, their spiritual practices and beliefs, and adopts the Eurocentric way of living, then they will prosper. Hey, it looks good on paper, but
Yes.
so does communism.
That's true.
And the 60s scoop is when the government came right into the family's home and took the kids, and the option given to the parents at this time was, we could either do this the hard way or we could do it the easy way.
Okay.
Either way they're going. There's nothing you could do about it.
Wow. Wow.
And you know, a lot of First Nations don't know this. You know, like they look at, you know, their parents as giving them up.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of
Resentment.
yes, and animosity and bitterness, hatred, unforgiveness towards the parents, right?
Yes.
And I've seen that in my family. And you know, learning about the 60s scoop, you know, freed me from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So maybe give us a little bit of some history that people can kind of dig into. You know, maybe there's still some people out there that are going through the same stuff that you're going through, where they're holding bitter and animosity, or they can't understand why their family's torn apart, why there's dysfunction. Give them something to research, to hold on to.
Well,